Good evening, everyone. Welcome into the channel. Let's go ahead and dive right in and talk about these Baltimore Ravens and their explosive running back room. Let's get it. You know why you're here. Let's talk Ravens with Yolanda. Let's go. A healthy balance at every position. If they brought in Derrick Henry, because the Ravens aren't serious. Derrick DeCosta's make or break season, off season. Good evening again. Welcome into the channel. I'm your host, Yolanda, and we are here for a good time and not a long time because tonight there is the return of the Baltimore Ravens Wired, and we are going to get out of here so that everyone can enjoy that. I'm looking forward to it, as I'm sure you are as well. I wanted to come in tonight and just talk about the explosiveness of this Baltimore Ravens running back room. I read somewhere recently where the Bleacher Report, this is it's not new, so I'm going to call it new-ish, maybe about a month or so, a month and a half ago, right before the draft, they put out a report where they ranked the running back rooms for the NFL, and I think they went for the top 10. Coming in at number 10, I didn't write numbers 10 and 9, but I think because those were just honorable mentions, but coming in at number 8, there was the Chicago Bears, and they noted DeAndre Swift and Khalil Herbert, and how Herbert last year was so effective at stacking the box. And he was very effective with that. And so they ranked Chicago Bears number 8. Number 7, the Commanders, where he noted Elker, he noted Brian Johnson. There was also Chris Rodriguez. I think I'm losing my voice, so just bear with me if I sound a little hoarse today. Number 6, the Eagles. Now, I was shocked about the Eagles coming in at number 6. I thought they'd be a little bit higher simply because they acquired Saquon Barkley this offseason and pair him with the quarterback, Jalen Hurts. I think they're going to do well. Someone mentioned in the comments on one of my videos, they said, they prefer, or they would take the duo or the tandem of Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley. And I said, that's a good match. That's a good pair. I'm not even going to dispute it. But just for me, I'm going to take my Baltimore Ravens. I'm going to take Lamar Jackson and King Henry every day and twice on Sunday. Let me take a moment real quick to say hello to those who have joined in the chat. We have with us tonight, Tim Hughes. Good evening to you. Thank you for joining. He's asking, how's everyone tonight? Yes, congrats to Kadir for making the initial signing today. We're going to talk about that, even though this is about the running back room, but we're going to definitely get into that, and I want to hear everybody's thoughts about it. I'm pretty excited about the Kadir signing. I hope, I'm wishing him the best this year, wishing the best for him. Good evening, Tanja Bowman. Thank you for joining. We also have with us Nisha C. Thank you for joining. Good evening to you. We have Killa Cam. Salute to you, Killa. Thank you for joining tonight. So just talking about the running back room, we already know how electrifying Lamar Jackson is. Now we've paired him with Derrick Henry, King Henry, and just seeing him today in the Ravens jersey, in that purple, because purple is a color of royalty, and it's just so befitting for King Henry. Had me excited for this season. I can't wait. I'm excited. I'm coming out of myself like, oh my goodness, I'm ready for the season to start. Anybody feel that way? But hey, we have to work. I mean, we have to wait. We have to be patient. We're just barely into the beginning of the off season. So I'm trying to like tell myself and convince myself to, slow down, take your time, just wait. I'm not the world's most patient person. Jeff J, good evening from Southwest Florida. Oh goodness. My husband is from Southwest Florida. So I'm very familiar. You hope to go to the Tampa game. I hope you can make it. I'm from Florida too. And I would love to go to to go down south, go back home for one of the games. That'd be great. So I hope you can make it. Cheer on our Ravens. That'd be fun. Good evening, Nana. Glad you're here. Good evening. Thank you for joining. We also have with us tonight Hendo from the Rogue Pod. Make sure that you go over to the Rogue Pod and subscribe to his channel. He puts out amazing content, gives you that fresh perspective of the Baltimore Ravens, and as someone who is native to Baltimore, his opinions, his insight, his intel is always on point. So make sure you go over and check him out. As I was mentioning, I'm really happy about, obviously, Derrick Henry. But we cannot forget we have Justice Hill. And this is where the Ravens were ranked number 4. Going back to the Bleacher Report, Ravens were ranked. And this, again, if you're just now joining, I'm talking specifically about a Bleacher Report that came out about a month and a half or 2 ago, where the Baltimore Ravens were ranked number 4. Falcons were 5. Eagles were 6. And as we keep going down, Ravens were ranked number 4. And they mentioned with the addition of Derrick Henry, paired that with the electric Lamar Jackson. And they also mentioned Keaton Mitchell. Keaton Mitchell is one that I really want to temper expectations, because coming off of that type of injury and knowing that it happened so late in the season, realistically, I'm not even expecting to see Keaton Mitchell take the field until November. Maybe the earliest would be late October. So I'm not really factoring him into this explosive equation, at least not for the start. Certainly, he would be an asset for us moving into the latter part of the season and into the off season. If we can get him back healthy and ready to go, you talk about an explosive running back room. It would be just that. But number 3 on the Bleacher Report's list, they ranked the 49ers with CMC, Elijah Mitchell, and Kyle Juszczyk. Number 2, the Dolphins with Rasheed Mostert and Ahmed. And I said, I don't know how they came in number 2, but okay, they're number 2. But number 1, I couldn't argue with the Lions. With Gibbs and David Montgomery, they ranked them number 1. I just would have personally wanted to see the Ravens higher than number 4 in terms of our running back room. But let's go back and talk about Justice Hill. So for Justice last year, he had 84 carries, 387 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns. And this is where I think he really needs to improve. 4.6 yards per carry. If we can see Justice Hill take a substantial leap, a growth in terms of how many yards he's, yards per carry he's able to get for us, then I really think we're scratching the surface of just being dynamic in terms of our running backs. Again, we also, we have Keaton Mitchell, but I'm really not factoring him into this right now just because he's still injured and I don't know when we'll see him. So that's just kind of it for me. But I do think, and we also drafted running back, had his name right in front of me. The running back we just drafted, Rasheen Ali, 5th round pick from Marshall. I asked maybe a week or so ago, I said, who do you think can be a day 1 starter? I did not put Rasheen Ali on this list. I did not. And I still don't think he's a day 1 starter. But that's the beauty of OTAs. And we'll get into that in a moment. But I don't think, from what I've seen, what I've read on Rasheen Ali, I don't know if he will be day 1. So that leaves us going into week 1, and remember, week 1 we have a test. We have a really big test. We have the Kansas City Chiefs opening up NFL, season 24, and the running back room really needs to, especially Justice Hill. Justice Hill's going to have to hold his own this year. That's what I'm looking for. We also have with us tonight, thank you, the Chef 87. Thank you for joining. I hope you're doing well. And Nana says, yeah, she agrees that like Keaton Mitchell, which is why, DeAndre Swift, hopefully, which is why she wanted DeAndre Swift. Hopefully he won't have a setback like JK. That's always the hope, right? That's always the hope for any injured player, because we've seen it. We've seen it with Ronnie Stanley. We saw it, as Nana said, with JK. We've seen it too many times where players rehab, they take their time, they take a year, they take a year and a half, they come back, and somewhere along the healing journey, David Ojabo, there's a setback. And then what do we do? So this is where I think we can be explosive. Our running back room can be great. We just need to see Justice Hill give us a little bit more. 4.6 yards a carry, we need to see more than that, especially because Keaton Mitchell, he only played in, I think, 8 or 9 games. And of those games, I think he was averaging 8.4 yards a carry. That undrafted rookie free agent who we signed was a monster for us. He gave us an electric burst of speed, and he was so much fun to watch. So it will be a little sad not seeing him, but remembering that, hey, he's going to come back, and hopefully he'll be ready when he does. And Tanja says, we should have drafted a better running back to pair with Derrick Henry. Yeah, I agree. And I don't know too much on Rasheen Ali, but just a little that I've read and I've heard, I don't think he's going to be ready to go. He's probably that rotational piece, right? We probably will interweave him into our scheme, into our system, but certainly we don't need to put all of our expectation in Rasheen Ali. I don't think that's wise. I don't think it's smart for us to do that. But here again, let's talk about the OTAs. I forgot to put on my first topic. There we go. So we just talked about the running back room. While we're here, before we move on to the running back, before we move on to OTAs, one comment that came about from a live stream that I did recently was someone mentioned they would like to see Lamar Jackson audible more in terms of taking our offense to the next level. I absolutely agree with that statement. How wonderful would it be for us to, when I say us, like we're part of the organization, but for the organization, for the coaches to really give Lamar Jackson the keys to this offense so that when he goes to the line of scrimmage, he's able to read the defense. And if he doesn't see that whatever play he was about to call, if he sees that that's not going to be successful, if that's going to be a botched play, then he can immediately change it. Let's rely on Lamar's knowledge, his intellect, his wisdom, and his intuition of the game. Let's allow him to have more control at the line of scrimmage. I do think that is absolutely critical for us in terms of taking our offense up to the next level. That would be wonderful. So, question that I have before we move on to OTAs, and let me know in the chat. And if you're watching on replay, thank you. Please leave a comment down below. Do you think that we are saving, or we will save, King Henry for down the stretch and into the postseason? Remember, he's 30 years old. Or do you think the plan is to have him out there a majority of the snaps, day one, all the way through the season? That question, I'm a little torn. Originally, I said, I think he should have a very big role in terms of how many snaps he gets, how many carries, But as I think about it a little bit more, if we see an improvement from Justice Hill, and who knows what we're going to see from Rasheen Ali, right? But if we see that improvement from Justice Hill, then I think we can allow Derrick Henry to not be so much of a load carrier. But if we do not see Justice Hill taking that next step, then I think we have to rely solely, primarily on King Henry, unless and until we get Keaton Mitchell back. That's my thought. Yeah, he did, Tanja. Lamar did make audibles last season, but what the comment was, he wasn't making enough. He wanted to see more of that. He wanted to see more of Lamar taking control and taking command when at the line of scrimmage. So yeah, he does. He did some, sure. But if we can allow him to do more, I think was where the comment was headed. Day 1 of OTAs. Oh, I got excited today. I got really happy just watching all the players come out of and especially our rookies and our new players who we just signed, taking the practice field for the first time in their Ravens jerseys. Wonderful time. This is great. Let me know in the comments, who are the players that you're watching this OTAs for the next week? For me, it's going to be, obviously, it's the rookies. But I want to see, and not just OTAs, I want to see how Ronnie Stanley, I want to see Ronnie Stanley. I want to know how he's doing. I want to know how his body is holding up. Is he really going to be a solid, steady, reliable force for us? Because that left tackle position, protecting Lamar Jackson's blind side, is crucial. And with the O-line, they've got to open the lane. They've got to block well enough for the running backs to be able to do their thing. So I'm looking for Voorhees as well, and Ben Cleveland. Those would be, and obviously, of course, the rookies. I want to see how they're doing and how they blossom and how they develop and, how they adjust to the speed of the game. I want to see that. Nana says, when we talk about Lamar's growth, we first have to remember his first 5 years were wasted. So now he's like a rookie, only in his second year. Having the keys to audible more can't happen overnight. I agree. If we take that approach, last year probably would have been the first year for him. So if we look at him as a second year player, because as she mentioned, the first few years were just wasted years. If we look at him like that in his second year, we need to increase the amount of times that Lamar audibles at the line of scrimmage. That's what I think the comment was. So, and like Tanja says, Lamar at this point should be much more comfortable with the offense. And last year we had a new offensive coordinator. So now you've taken what Nana just told us with what is almost like a first year for him. Now you take that and you pair that with a brand new offensive coordinator. There was a lot going on last year. So in terms of development for Lamar, in terms of improvement, I think we're seeing that. His arm talent, we're seeing that. And to now add the additional benefit or the additional layer of allowing him more opportunities to audible at the line of scrimmage, I think that's going to be very good for us, and it would bode well for us on offense. I want to ask this. I thought about this earlier today. Since we are talking specifically about the running back room, but Tim Hughes did make a comment earlier about the signing of Kadir Ismail. So now we're lumping it all together, talking about the offense, not just exclusively about the Ravens running back. Which offensive player needs to step up and have a monster season? I'm going to go with, I teetered. When I thought of the question, I thought instantly of 3 names. And I said, no, I have to narrow it down to one. The offensive player who I'm looking for the most to really step up is Ben Cleveland. Because I couldn't say Voorhees needs to step up. Because although he's a second-year player, he didn't play last year because of injury. So that took him out of the running. Ronnie Stanley arguably would be a tie. He would be a tie. He really needs to, and I don't think it's Ronnie Stanley needs to step up. I don't think that's it. Ronnie Stanley needs to make sure that he is healthy enough to allow for his body to give him what he needs to sustain him for the entire season. Because we're in for the long haul. Ravens fans, buckle your seatbelt. We're in for the long haul. It's a long road to the championship. So we are going to need Ronnie Stanley, but I think more importantly, we're going to need Ben Cleveland. And with Ben Cleveland, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think this is a contract year for him. That being said, he really should be incentivized to playing lights out. Having Ben Cleveland step up this year, I think will be a huge bonus, a huge benefit for us. And that's what I'm watching for this year. I want to make sure our O-line is well able to give Lamar the time he needs, but also to create that space for the running backs. That's what I'm looking for. What's the purpose of having Derrick Henry and we don't have an O-line to block for him? So that's kind of where I am with that one. So hopefully we'll see some of them in OT, as the off season progresses, as we go into training camp and so forth. We'll start to get a better glimpse of how our offensive line is looking, how they are gelling. And with the new addition of Voorhees, and we'll see. We'll see. Rosengarten, he's going to step up this year. I mean, I can't really say step up because he's a rookie, but we're putting a lot on his plate. But we did the same thing with our center, Tyler Linderbaum, and he did phenomenal. So we're going to need the same thing out of Rosengarten. Wanted to talk a little bit about news around the NFL. We don't have time to talk about a lot of the news that's going on, but one thing I really wanted to touch on was Tua Tagovailoa. Is he worth $50 million? Is he holding out? Well, that was a question I heard, and I thought, maybe he might hold out. I don't know. But he showed up today. He reported today to OTAs. But is he worth $50 million? All this contract talk that I'm hearing about Tua Tagovailoa, it brought back some unhappy, unpleasant memories from last year when we were going through the talks of, are we going to sign Lamar? Is Lamar going to another team? Are we going to have him next year? And I was worried if I needed to pack my proverbial bags and head out to another team with Lamar. But, that's long gone. That's behind us now. We can take a sigh of relief, and we can just watch from the sidelines as other teams to figure out what they're doing at their quarterback situation. So that's one thing I thought. But I don't know. My instant thought, is he worth $50 million? Ooh. My instant answer is no. No, he's not. And interestingly enough, my husband, as I mentioned, he's from Southwest Florida. He's a Dolphins fan. Don't ask how what the house looks like when we play the Dolphins. It's not funny. It's not cute. But I asked, "What do you think that your quarterback is worth $50 million?" He said, "No." And coming from a Dolphins fan, he said Tua is too limited for 50 million. I said 1,000, but it's 50 million. Tua is too limited for 50 million. The fact that you have to surround him with so many number one weapons, that just shows you how limited he is. We all see that Lamar has been given breadcrumbs along the way. And as Nana put it, wasted years. We've seen that, right? So, and he's been asked to do a lot with so little. And with Tua, it's just the opposite. It's like, we are giving you all of this. And now they even just signed OBJ. Not that I think OBJ is going to be a significant contributor, but when his number is called, I think he's going to produce. I do. I think he's going to produce. Nana says that I'm right. I think this was from earlier when we were discussing Lamar being able to have more command and control at the line of scrimmage. D Weezy, good evening to you. Thank you for joining. We also have Dewan 100. Okay, so he's looking for starting left guard, right guard, And right tackle. Yeah, that's a lot. That's that's 3/4 of our O-line right there, who you're watching for. And I can't even be upset with that comment, you know? It's true. We really, I think a lot of us as Ravens fans are really watching this entire offensive line. Yes, Tanja Bowman said it. She's looking at the whole O-line. That's who she's watching this offseason. She's looking for, and I am too. I'm right there with her. I am right there with her. D Weezy says, no, we have plenty of time, 2-hour stream. No, D Weezy, actually we don't. For those Ravens fans, which my community is pretty much primarily Ravens fans with a sprinkling in of Panthers fans. And I think I have a few Bengals fans that come by, and a couple of others too. But tonight, the return of Baltimore Ravens Wired, 8 o'clock Eastern time. So we only have a few more minutes. We got to get out of here. Yes, we need to get out of here. D Weezy said, you need to be a game changer, not manager for the figure. Let me know what you mean, D Weezy. Let me know what you mean. Tonight with us, we have Engraven from Engraven Vids. Thank you for joining. Wasted years ain't even the word. Whew, I wish we would have hooked Lamar up after 2019, but they waited and they waited and they waited. Yes, thank you for joining. Please make sure that you go over to Engraven Vids and subscribe to his channel, one of the OGs and one of the greatest of Baltimore Ravens content. Please make sure you do that. And Tanja says she agrees with Engraven. Yeah, we wasted a lot of his time. We did. And the fact that we continued to ask him to produce and produce and produce, but gave him so little in return, that's painful to watch. That's very, very tough. No, sir. Thank you, Hendo from the Rogue Pod. We will not have a 2-hour stream. I keep telling you, we have to go watch the Wired, the Ravens Wired. I'm looking forward to it. Do you know when the last one was? A long time ago, and it's overdue. So thank you all so much for joining. Oh, last thing. I didn't have it on the list to discuss tonight, but last thing, as Tim Hughes mentioned at the start of the show, today the Ravens signed wide receiver Qadir Ishmael, son of Quadri Ishmael, former Super Bowl champion and with the Baltimore Ravens. And this young man, Qadir, is 6'6", and he's from Villanova. When I saw the signing, I was excited because he comes obviously from a great pedigree. You know, I think he's going to be a good player. But I guess in my mind, I was holding out just a little bit of hope, right? I was holding out a little hope that we could some way, by some strange miracle, figure out a way to sign either Deebo Samuel or Brandon Ayuk. This just dashed all hope. It just dashed all of it. So I think that this might be that big body wide receiver. I don't know if he's a day one starter. I don't know if he's going to even make an appearance. Will he be a practice squad, rotational? I don't know. We'll see. But at 6'6", he's got height. He's definitely got height. And I know height, weight is not a skill. It's not. But that's something that a lot of Ravens fans, myself included, have been clamoring for. Engraven Vid says, how you just starting out but got the clearest camera in the game. Thank you so much, Engraven. That's very, very sweet. Yeah, very kind. Well, thank you all so much. One more comment before I go. I see D Weezy here. He says, Ravens finally got that big body wide receiver. See, now why you picking at us? Why you coming here causing trouble and just kicking up dust everywhere you go, D Weezy? I don't know if he's going to be that big body wide receiver. And as I mentioned earlier, yes, you're right, Hendo from the Rogue Pod, size is not a skill. It is not. But I know a lot of fans, myself included, really wanted that big body wide receiver who can go up and make those contested catches. And just because you're 6'6" doesn't mean automatically or instantaneously that you will be able to do that. So, well, we have 1 minute before the Ravens Wired. So I did excellent on time tonight. Thank you all so much for joining. I hope you all are doing well. Please make sure to hit the like button. If you are new, welcome. Consider subscribing to the channel and make sure your post notifications are turned on so that you don't miss any content that is produced on this channel. Speaking of content, I will see you right back here later this week where we will recap week 1 of OTAs. Until then, take care, you stay safe, and always remember, even when the button doesn't want to work, go Ravens. God bless.